First strike. The holo display aboard the UES Hyperion painted the bridge in an eerie red glow as Commander Elena Rodriguez studied the devastation before her. New Haven Colony, humanity's furthest outpost, lay in ruins. Massive impact craters dotted the surface where antimatter weapons had struck, and the atmospheric processors that had taken decades to terraform the planet were now nothing more than twisted metal reaching into the toxic sky. Status report, Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding on the screen. Lieutenant Sarah Chen's fingers danced across her console, pulling up sensor data. No survivors detected on the surface, Commander. Radiation levels are off the charts. Whatever hit them, it was designed for maximum casualties. Sarah's voice cracked slightly. This is the third colony we found like this in the past week. The Hyperion was humanity's newest warship, a technological marvel that represented the pinnacle of human achievement. But even with all their advanced technology, they had arrived too late to save New Haven. The bridge crew worked in tense silence, each person processing the implications of what they were seeing. Commander, called out Marcus Webb from the tactical station. I'm detecting quantum wake signatures in the debris field. They're fresh, couldn't be more than 6 hours old. Elena's dark eyes narrowed. Finally, a lead. For months, colonies had been going dark one by one, with no traces of the attackers. But this time, they were close. Can you extrapolate their vector? Marcus nodded, his hands moving quickly over his holographic interface. A projection appeared in the center of the bridge, showing a line of golden light stretching out into the darkness of space. They're heading toward the Arcturus sector. Based on their quantum signature, they're moving at about 0.8 light speed. That's within our intercept range, Elena said, standing from her command chair. The Hyperion's experimental quantum drive could push them well beyond normal light speed limitations. Lieutenant Chen, plot an intercept course. Marcus, ready all weapon systems but keep them in passive mode. We don't want them to see us coming. Commander, interrupted Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's chief scientist. I've completed analysis of the weapon signatures. They're unlike anything we've ever encountered. The technology level is centuries beyond what we thought possible. Elena walked to Yuki's station, studying the complex data streams flowing across her screen. Can you give me a tactical assessment? Their weapons appear to be based on controlled antimatter reactions, but with a precision we've never achieved. They can apparently contain and direct the energy with perfect efficiency. Yuki looked up at Elena, her expression grave. Commander, whoever did this, they're far more advanced than us. A small smile played across Elena's lips. That's what they think too, I'd imagine. And that's going to be their mistake. She turned to address the entire bridge crew. Throughout human history, we faced technologically superior forces, the British Empire against the American revolutionaries, the massive Persian army against the Greeks, and every time, human ingenuity and determination have prevailed. She walked back to her command chair, her footsteps echoing in the silent bridge. We've spent centuries preparing for this moment. Every war, every conflict, every challenge has taught us something. We've learned to think differently, to fight smarter, to never give up. These attackers, whoever they are, they think their superior technology makes them invincible. They've never faced humanity before. The crew straightened in their seats, inspired by their commander's words. Elena sat down, her expression determined. Lieutenant Chen, engage quantum drive. Marcus, begin passive sensor sweeps of the projected course. Dr. Tanaka, I want you to analyze every piece of data we have about their weapons and defenses. Find me a weakness. The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed to life, its revolutionary technology bending space-time around the massive warship. As they accelerated beyond light speed, Elena studied the tactical display. Somewhere ahead of them were the beings responsible for thousands of civilian deaths. They thought their advanced technology made them unstoppable. They were about to learn a harsh lesson about human resilience. All hands, Elena announced ship-wide, "This is the commander. We have tracked the forces responsible for the colony attacks. We are moving to intercept. This is what we trained for. This is why the Hyperion was built. Today, we show them that humanity is not their prey. We are their worst nightmare." As the Hyperion streaked through space, its crew prepared for the coming confrontation. They were outnumbered and outgunned, facing an enemy with superior technology. But they had something their enemies didn't understand: the indomitable human spirit. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and Elena Rodriguez intended to make this first strike one the enemy would never forget. The Ghost Protocol. Engineering reports Ghost Protocol is ready for activation, Lieutenant Chen announced, her voice barely above a whisper despite the fact that sound couldn't travel through space. Old habits died hard when running silent. The Hyperion drifted in the shadow of a massive gas giant, its quantum drive powered down to minimal levels. They had caught up with the alien fleet 6 hours ago, tracking them to what appeared to be a major staging area. Dozens of the massive antimatter-armed vessels hung in space, their sleek forms resembling predatory sea creatures from Earth's oceans. Commander Rodriguez studied the tactical display, watching the alien ships move in precise formations. "Dr. Tanaka, what's your assessment of their sensor capabilities?" The scientist adjusted her glasses, a nervous habit she'd never broken. "Based on their energy emissions, they're using quantum-based detection systems. Extremely sophisticated. They can likely detect a ship's drive signature from several light-years away." She paused, allowing herself a small smile. "But they're not looking for what we're about to do." The Ghost Protocol was the product of a decade of classified research, a way to bend light and other forms of energy around a ship, rendering it virtually invisible, not just to visual detection, but to all known forms of sensors. It had never been tested in actual combat conditions. Today would be its trial by fire. "Marcus, status of the sensor drones?" Elena asked, keeping her voice low despite the impossibility of the aliens hearing them. "All 12 drones are in position, Commander, ready to begin wide-spectrum data collection the moment we go dark." Elena nodded, taking a deep breath. What they were about to attempt was incredibly risky. One miscalculation, one slight error in the Ghost Protocol's calculations, and they would be detected. Against one alien ship, they might stand a chance. Against an entire fleet, they would be annihilated instantly. "All hands, this is the commander," Elena announced over the ship's comm. "We are about to activate the Ghost Protocol. All non-essential systems will power down. We will be running dark and silent for the next 24 hours. This is not a drill. Maintain emission discipline at all times." She looked at her bridge crew, seeing the tension in their faces. They had trained for this, but simulation was one thing. Reality was quite another. "Lieutenant Chen, begin Ghost Protocol activation sequence." Sarah's fingers moved across her console with practiced precision. Throughout the massive warship, systems began powering down. The constant hum of the quantum drive faded to silence. Emergency lighting cast a dim blue glow across the bridge. Ghost Protocol activating in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then Elena noticed the stars visible through the bridge viewport beginning to shift and bend. It was as if the Hyperion was being wrapped in a bubble of distorted spacetime. "Ghost Protocol active," Sarah reported. "All emissions are being contained and redirected. We are now running dark." "Launch sensor drones," Elena ordered. 12 tiny probes, each no bigger than a human hand, silently detached from the Hyperion's hull. Using minimal thrust, they began spreading out in a wide pattern around the alien fleet. Each drone was equipped with advanced sensors designed to gather every possible piece of data about the enemy vessels. For the next several hours, the bridge crew watched in tense silence as data from the drones began streaming in. Dr. Tanaka worked frantically, analyzing every bit of information about the alien ship's capabilities, weaknesses, and patterns. "Commander," Yuki called out suddenly, her voice excited despite the need for quiet. I'm detecting something unusual in their communication patterns. They're using quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication. But she trailed off, her fingers flying over her console. But what, Doctor? But they're using a predictable encryption pattern. It's incredibly complex, yes, but it's rigid. They rely entirely on their technological superiority. They don't expect anyone to be able to break their codes, so they haven't bothered to make them adaptable. Elena moved to Yuki's station, studying the data. Can you crack it? Given time, yes. Their overconfidence is their weakness. They're so convinced of their superiority that they've become inflexible, predictable. A sudden alert from Marcus's tactical station caused everyone to freeze. One of the alien ships was moving, changing its position. For a heart-stopping moment, it appeared to be heading directly toward their position. Then it passed by, less than a kilometer from their position, completely unaware of their presence. Elena released the breath she'd been holding. Continue monitoring. I want to know everything about these bastards, their capabilities, their patterns, their weaknesses. We're going to make them regret ever attacking humanity. As the hours passed, the picture became clearer. The aliens, who referred to themselves as the Hellracks in their communications, were indeed technologically superior. But they were also arrogant, inflexible, and absolutely convinced of their invincibility. They had never encountered a species that could challenge them, and that had made them careless. Commander, Dr. Tanaka called out softly, I think I've found something. Their antimatter containment systems, they're incredibly advanced, yes, but they all operate on the same frequency. If we could disrupt that frequency. Elena smiled in the dim blue light of the bridge. Then their greatest strength becomes their greatest weakness. Well done, Doctor. She turned to Marcus. How many ships are we tracking in total? 47, Commander. Including what appears to be their flagship. It's about twice the size of the others. Elena studied the tactical display, her mind already formulating a plan. The Hellracks thought their technology made them invincible. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was their ability to adapt, to think creatively, to find ways to win even when outgunned and outnumbered. Prepare a full tactical analysis, she ordered. When Ghost Protocol deactivates, we're going to show these aliens exactly what humanity is capable of. And it's going to start with their flagship. Counterstrike. Battle stations. Commander Rodriguez's order cut through the tense silence on the Hyperion's bridge. The Ghost Protocol had been deactivated 10 minutes ago, and now they were ready to execute their daring plan. The massive Hellracks fleet hung in space before them, their ships arranged in a precise geometric pattern that spoke of rigid military doctrine. Their flagship, a behemoth of crystalline metal and antimatter weapons, formed the center of their formation. Not one of their sensor arrays was pointed in the Hyperion's direction, the exact weakness Elena had been counting on. Dr. Tanaka, status of the quantum frequency disruptors. Ready, Commander. We've matched the signature of their antimatter containment fields exactly. Yuki's fingers hovered over her console. The moment we activate the disruptors, their containment fields will begin to destabilize. They'll have approximately 30 seconds to detect and correct the problem before their antimatter weapons become a liability. Elena nodded, her expression grim. Lieutenant Chen, attack vector plotted. Yes, Commander. We'll emerge from our current position, execute a quantum jump to point-blank range of their flagship, deploy the disruptors, and then quantum jump to our secondary position before they can target us. Time to execute the full sequence. 12 seconds, Commander. Their weapons will still be in the process of destabilizing when we make our second jump. Elena studied the tactical display one final time. Everything hinged on precise timing and the Hellracks' own arrogance. Their rigid formation, their predictable patterns, their reliance on superior technology. All of it was about to be turned against them. All hands, Elena announced shipwide. This is the Commander. In 5 minutes, we will execute Operation Hubris. This is not just about revenge for our colonies. This is about showing these aliens that humanity is not to be underestimated. Stand ready at your posts. Rodriguez out. The bridge crew performed their final checks in silence. They had trained for this, prepared for this moment. But now, facing an enemy fleet that outnumbered them 47-1, the reality of their situation was stark. "Commander," Marcus called from tactical, "I'm detecting power spikes in the Hellrax fleet. They're preparing to move out." "Perfect timing then," Elena said, settling into her command chair. "All stations, execute Operation Hubris on my mark." She took a deep breath, then spoke the words that would commit them to their course of action. "Mark." The Hyperion's quantum drive engaged, and space itself seemed to twist around them. In an instant, they went from hiding at the edge of the system to appearing less than a kilometer from the Hellrax flagship. Before the alien vessel could react, the Hyperion fired its quantum frequency disruptors, not weapons in the traditional sense, but devices designed to match and disrupt the exact frequency of the Hellrax's antimatter containment fields. The effect was immediate. Alarms began blaring across the Hellrax fleet as their sophisticated weapons systems suddenly became deadly liabilities. The flagship's crystalline hull began to glow with unstable energy as its antimatter containment started to fail. "Second jump in 3, 2, 1. Sarah's voice was steady as she executed the next phase of their attack. The Hyperion vanished again, reappearing at their predetermined secondary position, just as the Hellrax fleet erupted into chaos. Ships began breaking formation, their crews desperately trying to correct the cascading failures in their weapon systems. "Status of the flagship," Elena demanded. "Their antimatter containment is critical," Marcus reported, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "They're attempting to eject their weapons cores, but the destabilization is spreading faster than they can respond." The massive Hellrax flagship suddenly blazed with blinding light as its antimatter containment finally failed. The resulting explosion was spectacular, the ship's own advanced weapons becoming its destruction. The blast wave rippled out, catching several nearby Hellrax vessels in its radius. 5 enemy ships destroyed, Marcus announced. The rest are in disarray. Their formation is breaking down completely. Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Now they know we can hurt them. Send the message." Sarah nodded, transmitting the carefully prepared communication to the remaining Hellrax ships. The message was simple. "Your technological superiority means nothing. Your rigid tactics are your weakness. Your arrogance will be your downfall. This was your only warning. Leave human space, or the next time we meet, we won't stop at your flagship." "Commander," Yuki called out urgently, "I'm detecting massive power fluctuations throughout the remaining fleet. They're attempting to modify their containment field frequencies, adapting to our attack." "As expected," Elena replied calmly. "They're learning." "Good. Lieutenant Chen, prepare for quantum jump to safe distance. Marcus, launch our surprise package before we go." A swarm of small objects ejected from the Hyperion's launch tubes, speeding toward the scattered Hellrax fleet. They looked like simple debris, fragments left over from the flagship's destruction. In reality, they were sophisticated quantum resonators, programmed to randomly change frequencies and continue disrupting the Hellrax's antimatter containment systems. "Package delivered," Marcus confirmed. "Quantum jump ready." "Execute jump," Elena ordered. The Hyperion vanished just as the first Hellrax ships began to target their position. When they emerged at a safe distance, the tactical display showed the Hellrax fleet in complete chaos. Ships were randomly jumping to different positions, trying to escape the range of the quantum resonators. Their perfect formation was shattered, their coordinated movements replaced by panic. "Send a tight beam transmission to Earth Command," Elena ordered. "Tell them Operation Hubris was successful. The Hellrax are no longer invulnerable. And most importantly, they know it." As the Hyperion prepared to return to Earth, Elena watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The Hellrax had learned a crucial lesson today. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, but their ability to think creatively, to adapt, and to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. The war was far from over, but the balance of power had shifted. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity had shown that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Alliance. 3 days after their successful strike against the Hellrax flagship, the UES Hyperion was patrolling the outer edges of human space when their sensors detected something unusual. A ship had quantum jumped into the system, but its signature didn't match either human or Hellrax patterns. Classification. Elena asked, studying the strange readings on her tactical display. Unknown, Commander, Marcus replied. The ship appears to be damaged. Its quantum field is highly unstable, and I'm detecting multiple hull breaches. Wait. He paused, adjusting his sensors. I'm picking up weapons damage. Hellrax energy signatures. Elena leaned forward in her command chair. Another victim of our friends. Lieutenant Chen, bring us closer, but maintain combat readiness. Dr. Tanaka, begin full spectrum analysis of their ship. The alien vessel was unlike anything they had seen before. Where Hellrax ships were all crystalline angles and aggressive lines, this craft was organic in appearance, its hull flowing in smooth curves that seemed almost alive. As they drew closer, they could see the extensive damage it had sustained. Several sections were completely exposed to space, and its drive systems were barely functioning. Commander, Yuki called out excitedly. I'm detecting life signs, but they're very weak. The ship's life support is failing. Elena didn't hesitate. Broadcast on all frequencies, first contact protocols. Let them know we're here to help. Moments later, a response came. The ship's communication system was damaged, but they managed to establish a basic visual link. The bridge crew found themselves staring at an alien being that appeared almost aquatic in nature, with iridescent scales and large expressive eyes. The alien spoke, its words translated by their systems. I am third speaker Verain of the Meridian Collective. We did not expect to find allies in this region. The Hellrax told us we were alone in our resistance. I am Commander Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth ship Hyperion. We are not allies of the Hellrax. In fact, we recently dealt them a significant blow. Elena studied the alien's reaction carefully. We can offer assistance and repairs. Varian's large eyes blinked rapidly. You fought the Hellrax and survived. This is unprecedented. We have been fighting their expansion for decades, but never. The alien paused, overcome by a fit of coughing. Our life support is critical. If your offer of assistance is genuine, it is. Prepare your crew for emergency evacuation. We'll begin rescue operations immediately. Over the next several hours, the Hyperion's crew worked to evacuate the damaged Meridian vessel. They discovered that the Meridians were a spacefaring species that had been resisting Hellrax expansion for years. Like humanity, they were technically less advanced, but they had survived through cunning and determination. In the Hyperion's conference room, Elena sat across from Verain, who had recovered somewhat after receiving medical attention. The Meridian's iridescent scales shifted colors as they spoke, creating beautiful patterns that seemed to reflect their emotions. Your attack on their flagship has thrown them into disarray, Verain explained. Never in their history has a lesser species successfully struck against them. They are afraid. This is why they attacked our patrol with such ferocity. They fear others will learn of their vulnerability. Then perhaps it's time we gave them more to fear, Elena suggested. How many other species are resisting the Hellrax? Several, but we are isolated, uncoordinated. The Hellrax control all major communication channels between systems. We cannot. But we can, Elena interrupted. We've broken their quantum communication encryption. We can coordinate resistance across multiple systems, create a united front. Verain's scales rippled with excited colors. A coalition against the Hellrax. It would be unprecedented. They have dominated this sector for centuries through superior technology, and the fear it inspires. Technology isn't everything, Elena said, thinking of their successful strike against the flagship. Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't expect you to have. Like allies they didn't know existed. Over the next several hours, Elena and Varian shared tactical information. The Meridians had developed their own methods of combating Hellrack's technology, different from but complementary to humanity's approach. Where humans had focused on disrupting Hellrack's systems, the Meridians had perfected ways of predicting and evading their attack patterns. "Commander," Varian said, their scales now glowing with a deep, determined blue, "my people have a saying. The tide raises all vessels. Together, we might achieve what none of us could do alone." Elena smiled. "On Earth, we say unity is strength. Your people's knowledge of Hellrack's patterns, combined with our ability to disrupt their technology." She paused, an idea forming. "How quickly can you contact the other resistance groups?" "With your quantum communication capabilities." "Within days." "Good." Elena stood, walking to the conference room's viewport. "Because I have a plan. The Hellracks think themselves invincible because of their technology. They've never faced a coordinated resistance, never had to fight enemies who could adapt, who could work together, who could turn their own rigid tactics against them." Varian's scales shifted to a brilliant gold. "You want to create an alliance, not just of our two species, but of all who resist the Hellracks." "Exactly. Each of us alone might be technologically inferior. But together." Elena turned back to Varian, her expression determined. "Together, we're going to show the Hellracks that the age of their dominance is over." As they began planning, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism. Humanity had come to space expecting to find friends among the stars. Instead, they had found oppression and violence. But now, through standing up to that oppression, they had found something perhaps even more valuable. Allies who shared their determination to fight back against tyranny. Checkmate. The combined fleet hung in the darkness of space, a sight unprecedented in the history of the galaxy. Human warships flew alongside the organic vessels of the Meridians. The crystalline ships of the Solari, another species that had joined the Alliance, glittered like stars. The biomechanical cruisers of the Voth formed the fleet's outer edges. Each species had brought their own unique technologies, tactics, and determination to the fight. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Hyperion, which now served as the Alliance's flagship. The tactical display showed hundreds of ships, all coordinated through the encrypted quantum communication network humanity had provided. They had spent weeks preparing for this moment, gathering intelligence, coordinating tactics, and waiting for the perfect opportunity. "Status report," Elena commanded, her voice carrying the weight of not just humanity's hopes, but those of a dozen species who had suffered under Hellrack's dominion. "The Hellrack's main fleet has taken the bait," third speaker Varian reported from their station. The Meridian scales glowed with anticipation. "They're pursuing the Solari decoy fleet exactly as predicted. Their arrogance remains their weakness," added High Strategist Kavoth of the Voth, his biomechanical interfaces pulsing with energy. "They still believe they can overwhelm any resistance through superior firepower alone." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. After weeks of hit-and-run attacks by various Alliance members, the Hellracks had finally committed their main fleet to a decisive battle. They thought they were pursuing a vulnerable group of Solari ships. In reality, they were being led into the largest ambush in galactic history. "All ships signal ready," Marcus announced from Tactical. "The Hellrack's fleet will enter the target zone in 3 minutes." Elena nodded, addressing the combined fleet through the quantum network. "All vessels, this is Commander Rodriguez. For centuries, the Hellracks have dominated through fear and superior technology. They believed their advanced weapons made them invincible. They never imagined that their greatest weakness would be their inability to adapt, to cooperate, to see beyond their own arrogance." She paused, watching as the massive Hellrack's fleet moved closer to the target zone. Today, we prove that true strength lies not in technology alone, but in unity, in cooperation, in the ability to learn from each other and fight together. All ships, prepare to execute Operation Unity on my mark. The Hellrax fleet, nearly 1,000 ships strong, moved into position. Their formation was perfect, their tactics unchanged despite their recent losses. They still couldn't conceive of defeat at the hands of inferior species. Mark. The trap was sprung. The Meridian ships, hidden in the electromagnetic shadow of a nearby nebula, launched their attack first. Their organic vessels released clouds of particles that interfered with Hellrax sensors, creating confusion in their rigid formation. The Solari decoy fleet suddenly turned, their crystalline ships refracting energy weapons in impossible patterns. Second phase, Elena ordered. The Voth fleet emerged from their hiding spots in subspace pockets, their biomechanical weapons targeting the Hellrax ships now exposed weak points. The human fleet, led by the Hyperion, executed precisely calculated quantum jumps, appearing at point-blank range to deploy their containment field disruptors. Chaos erupted across the Hellrax fleet. Their perfect formation shattered as ships tried to adapt to attacks coming from multiple vectors, using different technologies, following unpredictable patterns. Every time they adjusted to one form of attack, another species would strike from an unexpected direction with completely different tactics. Their flagship is attempting to coordinate a response, Marcus reported, but their communications are fragmented. Each ship is trying to adapt individually. As expected, Elena said with grim satisfaction, they've never learned to truly work together. Each ship is fighting its own battle while we fight as one. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Hellrax, for all their technological superiority, couldn't adapt to the combined tactics of the Alliance. Their rigid hierarchy crumbled in the face of coordinated attacks from multiple species, each using different strategies that complemented each other perfectly. Finally, the Hellrax flagship transmitted a surrender signal. Their fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, had been reduced to less than a third of its original size. The remaining ships had ceased firing, their crews seemingly in shock at their first major defeat in centuries. Elena opened a channel to the Hellrax flagship. This is Commander Elena Rodriguez of the Alliance fleet. Your dominion over this sector of space is over. You will withdraw to your core systems. You will cease all aggressive expansion. You will acknowledge the sovereignty of all species in this sector. The Hellrax commander's response was filled with disbelief. How? How is this possible? Our technology, our weapons, were impressive. Elena finished for them. But you never understood that true strength comes from unity, from cooperation, from the ability to adapt and work together. Your technology made you powerful, but your arrogance made you weak. As the Hellrax fleet began their withdrawal, Elena looked around the bridge of the Hyperion. Humans worked alongside Meridians, Solari, and Voth, each bringing their unique perspectives and abilities to their shared mission. This was the future they had fought for, not domination through superior technology, but cooperation between equals. Send word to all Alliance worlds, she ordered. The Hellrax threat has been contained, but more importantly, we have proven that together we are stronger than any one species alone. The galaxy is entering a new age, an age of cooperation, of shared knowledge, of unity in diversity. As the Alliance fleet began their victory formation, Elena couldn't help but smile. Humanity had come to the stars hoping to find friends and allies. Instead, they had found oppression and conflict. But through standing up to that oppression, through showing that determination and cooperation could overcome even the most advanced technology, they had helped forge something unprecedented, a true alliance of equals, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might present next. The age of Hellrax dominion was over. The age of unity had begun.